Ball Facts coming back at you again, and we gonna give you the facts. Today we're gonna take a detailed look at Lonzo Ball's faults, what they are, why he has them, and what he needs to do to fix them. Okay, number one, his crossover. He doesn't have a dependable crossover. Now some people are gonna say, what are you talking about? I can go look up Lonzo's crossover highlights right now on YouTube and find some. Well, go ahead, you will, but this is what you're missing. Yes, Lonzo has handles. He's been dribbling the ball since he was 6. But what you don't know is his crossover all throughout his school years were good because he was confident in his go-to backup move if he ever got stuck and couldn't get past you. Lonzo used to dribble with full confidence coming at a defender because he knew if he didn't completely rock you or he couldn't just get past you, and if you just gave him the tiny bit of space, he knew he could depend on his little old faithful, his trusted move that could rescue him at any time. And that was his left diagonal step back. This move that he had was so tough to defend. It was almost impossible. How do you block a shot after a 6'6" guard's leg span helps him step back to the left? Then he even cocks the ball to the left even further before he gets the shot off. You got to be in a Superman flying position to try to block that. And this is the reason Lonzo Ball doesn't have that aggression and the skill to just start saucing it up while coming at these guys anymore. Without his ball out move, he's not as confident. And with Zoe, confidence is everything. But this whole crossover dilemma started when they changed his shot, or both. He doesn't feel comfortable doing the left diagonal step back without his original shot. He still has to think too much about the new form when he shoots it. And since he changed his shot and doesn't have his number one offensive move anymore, it affects how he scores off the dribble and his comfort level when he dribbles. Okay, next let's get into number 2, his shooting. We know that's a problem. I mentioned how it affects his crossover, but now we're gonna break it down even more. Lonzo's shot in the NBA has never been consistent, and most people have chalked that up to his original form. But really, that's not it. Not at all. His original form got him to where he is today. He got him the number 2 pick. His shot is a problem because it's connected to his emotional state, his overall mental state. See, some shooters are machines. Their head's not into it, only their muscle memory. But that's not the case with Lonzo. But Lonzo didn't know that about himself before he got into the NBA. And that's because LeVar kept his environment and his role on the team and his expectations on the team the same his whole life. So Lonzo found nothing but stability, nothing but consistency, comfortability on the basketball court. And in that environment, you don't think, you just play. You don't think when you're shooting. And thinking too much is his problem now, not then. And even when he got to UCLA, he was the man there too, the same role. He didn't have to think. And for the first time that when his head really got into it was when his mom had a stroke. That's when he started thinking. And it's understandable, that he was in his head that night. And De'Aaron Fox better be glad. But Lonzo was just as surprised as us that his shot was not falling when he got in the NBA. He didn't know his shot was so affected by his mental. When he hit the Lakers, that wasn't a team ready to follow his lead from day one. That was a team of competitors fighting to be the face of the Lakers. Those dudes were not wanting Lonzo to be the man. And that was a lot for Zoe to be in his head about. So now on the Pelicans out of Hollywood, we all thought, okay, let's stress on Lonzo. He can get out of his head, stop thinking. But then he changes his shot. And you're going to full on try it out after not even having the full off season because you were hurt? Then just come out with it? Imagine if Ben Simmons did that. He wouldn't have been the rookie of the year. Ben still isn't really shooting his new shot, and he's been working on that thing for 4 years. So after a few months of shooting a new shot, you unroll it on the most competitive basketball league in the world? It's not ready, in my opinion. He at least needed to not be hurt, the entire offseason so he could have a full offseason to try, a successful transition with that shot. His shot is the number 2 problem because it's more mental than muscle memory. And that's just what it is right now. He would have to be on a team where he felt comfortable with his role, or he'd have to just get this shot down pat with a lot of muscle memory. Okay, number 3, roll aggressiveness. Now, when I say this, I don't mean roll aggressiveness against the opposing team. I mean with his own team. No matter who is on the court, the point guard is always the director of traffic. That's your role. So let's say you're the point guard with Michael Jordan on the court, and you know he's the man of the team. He's going to get a ton of touches. He's going to get the most points and so on. But still, you are the one who has to get him the ball. So when the play stops, you have all the right and authority to pull Michael Jordan to the side and start pointing at spots on the floor and talking to him about the best way for you to get him the ball and so on. Now, Lonzo lacks role of aggressiveness. As the point guard, he should be able to look at Brandon Ingram in the face and say, get to your spot, or wave him off. Look at Drew Holiday and say, you're not running enough. We're missing out on easy buckets. He should be able to look upset at these guys. He should be able to raise his voice and say, stop making the ball stagnant. Make a move or pass it back to me. He should be yelling, cut, calling for screens. And when his big man don't catch the ball on the pick and roll, he's got to talk to him. The only reason he lacks this is because growing up, he didn't need to. His father enforced Lonzo's role to the other players. You know, they just gave him his respect. But here in the NBA, teammates, they don't just show you respect. It's sad, but it's true. You have to go Jimmy Butler sometimes and let the chips fall where they may against these dudes. But I will say to Lonzo, you have tons of talent, but other people aren't going to just try to help you show it if they're only trying to put themselves in a position to win. So you will have to fight a little, fight for some room at the dinner table. You need some elbow space. You're going to have to pass to teammates when they're not ready and hit them in the head and show them you're not ready. You're going to have to run up the court fast as ever and leave your own teammates in the dust. 5 possessions in a row, so the world can see your team is slow. You'll have to stand like LeBron did with his hands out to J.R. Smith. Do that to Brandon Ingram and Drew in front of all the cameras and say, run, get down there, move. What's the use of me passing it up the court? And as soon as I touch it, I'll pass it right up the court and y'all just gonna slow the ball right back down. What's the point? Look disgusted, show the world. Okay. Number 4 problem of Lonzo Ball, his mid-range game. Lonzo's mid-range game is weak. And that's because that's 2 reasons. He didn't grow up practicing it. Majority of the time, he was depending on ball movement to get close enough to the rim where he could dunk or do a little layup or get an alley-oop. And Lonzo could shoot back then. So if it wasn't a dunk, it was a 3-point shot Drano. And in his developmental stage of basketball, when he was young, the mid-range just wasn't a high percentage shot, because if it's not an easy layup and it usually isn't a wide open shot, Lonzo used to just pass it up the court to LiAngelo, let him do the dirty work. And by the time Lonzo got up the court, LiAngelo had already scored, or Lonzo was running up full steam ahead, receiving a pass from Jello, open layup because Jello was getting doubled, or, open 3-point shot. So he was never great at it. The second reason Lonzo's mid-range sucks right now is because people can just play off him. His long ball isn't falling, so defenders just back up and are defensively ready for him to come in. And it's always harder to make mid-range shots when you're heavily contested. Now, when you have never been a mid-range shot kind of guy, and now you're forced to take contested mid-range shots, it's just not looking good. And now, this leads me to number 5. He can't finish around the rim. Well, I don't want to say he can't, because he can, but that's a problem. He needs a better finishing touch. When Lonzo Ball's on a team where they are following his lead, the ball movement is constantly going around, and the running, it just produces easy baskets at the rim. So Lonzo has never needed a serious layup package until now. His younger brother LaMelo always needed one because of his small stature going up against the tall guys. But Lonzo has always had the height and the hops to avoid this. He could dunk it or just do a simple layup. He didn't need it. And that was school. And school is over. This is the NBA, where you can't go into the paint without a 7-footer standing there. Lonzo has no jelly, and he better find some or just get a better touch, because he doesn't make his contested layups that much. And, that is another reason he looks sloppy taking it in. And he isn't as confident taking it in because he knows that he is not the best finisher. And if you are enjoying this video right here on the screen, you will love that video. Go through my videos and find that video and watch it. If you enjoy this, you're going to enjoy that. Okay, but now back to this video. With all that being said about Lonzo and what he needs to work on, I will still say this. Hear me. He has the best court vision in the NBA. He has the best passing ability during transition in the NBA. And he is the most unselfish player in the NBA. If any coach in the NBA learns how to utilize those three abilities, they will become a top 5 team immediately. What? Yes. That is why I say teams should adapt to Lonzo Ball. To everybody asking me why I say teams should change for him, because what you don't get is when you unlock Lonzo Ball and his 3 special attributes, it upgrades every player on the team. Average players become good and good players become great. That's what happens when you cater to Lonzo Ball. When playing his preferred style of the game, everyone else gets going more. These NBA coaches just won't let you see it yet. But when you see it, you'll get it. I admit, right now, Lonzo is a one-trick pony. But if you give him the right jockey, he'll win the race. What coach will help their entire team get better by unlocking Lonzo Ball's 3 special attributes instead of just trying to turn him into everybody else, the standard NBA player? We have something special on our hands. Why try to just make it normal? Listen, when you play Lonzo Ball his way, he's better and his team is better. Everyone's better. When you don't play Lonzo Ball his way, you literally put him in a position where you're on the court and you're like, what are you doing? You only see glimpses of what he can do because he's not making the mid-range right now. He's not making the layups right now. And it makes sense why everybody say, why is he in the NBA? Get him out. But if you NBA coaches would say, look what he did in school, let's let him do the same thing, then it would make sense why he's there. If I'm rooting for a team and I want everyone on the team better, why wouldn't I want to unlock Lonzo Ball? Why would I want to sit him on the bench? Why would I want to trade him? If you like the Pelicans and you want Brandon Ingram and Drew Holiday to do better and Zion to do better, wouldn't you want them to unleash Lonzo Ball? Hashtag free Zoe. Come on. He can work on the other things in practice, in the off season like Ben Simmons, and unveil them when he's ready. Let him run while he's young so he can win. When he's older and can't run as much, then he can unveil his new game that he's been working on and preparing with sufficient time. Position to win. Hashtag free Zoe. Man, like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Ball facts again. Peace.